Hey, I'm Eddie Russell, the Associate Master Distiller for Wild Turkey. I'm in my 31st year of making Wild Turkey Bourbon. Our actual plant started in 1869. It was started by some Irish family named the Rippies. And they won the best whiskey at the World's Fair around the turn of the century. And they made some different labels, JTS, Brown, Anderson Club, Dowling, back in before Prohibition. Then after Prohibition, Wild Turkey came around 1938-39, and they came to our distillery and we started producing it, and it's all been produced right there at our facility. It actually did come from a wild turkey hunt. The McCarthys were part of the Austin Nichols Corporation, was a big food and spirits wholesaler out of New York. They eventually got just down to the spirits end, but they went on a wild turkey hunt every year in the Carolinas. And the guy that was in charge, like when you go on trips, you know, one guy's in charge of the food, one guy's in charge of the drinks, and like that. And one year he went in his warehouse and he was having this bourbon made for a blended whiskey, which was huge right after Prohibition. You know, blended whiskeys were the hot things. And when he took it, they all loved it, and all of his friends said, you know, I love this. So he went back to his warehouse, and it was the bourbon he was having made. And at that time, everything was bottled at 100 proof. And this was 101. It was 8 years old, which was older than most. So it was very unusual. So as the year went along, they started talking about going on the turkey hunt again next year. All of his friends wanted some of that wild turkey whiskey, they called it. So they weren't a dumb, you know, they were a huge corporation, so they were very smart gentlemen. So he started producing wild turkey bourbon at 8 years old and 101 proof. At Wild Turkey, we only use one recipe for our bourbon. So everything that goes in the barrel is the same at the beginning. The difference is the age, what floor of the warehouses. Most of my warehouses have 7 floors. It's just like a good cut of meat, that center cut. So the middle floors put out the best whiskey. In most distilleries, when I first started, they had one product. You know, Wild Turkey had 101 and that was it. Beam had one product, all the distilleries did. And then we started realizing, I think the first one we came out with was the rare breed. And the reason we came out with it was because people wanted to know how we like to drink our whiskey. Talking about my father and I. And it never gets no better than when I walk in a warehouse with him and knock a bung out of the barrel and take his old copper thief and get a sample right out of that barrel, and that's what rare breed is. It's straight out of the barrel, and it's filtered, uncut, put in a bottle. And from that point, we've seen that people wanted those premium bourbons, and we've come out with a single barrel. We have a Russell's Reserve 10 years old. So we hand select barrels, some of our very best barrels, to put in some of our products. Instead of the 101 and 81 or more of a general 12 or 1300 barrels, I'll hand select 100 barrels at a time, 150 for the high-end stuff. Wild Turkey 81, we had an 80 proof that we came out with years ago. It was 4 years old, which most bourbons are just 4 years old. But for us at Wild Turkey, we don't think it's ready to at least 6. So we were thinking about a little package change, which was only the second one in my 31 years there, and just making a little cleaner look to it, a little more authentic look to it. And I wanted to get a product to meet that 21 to 40-year-old male and female. People are afraid of the 101 proof, and I've heard that a lot through my life. It's all 101's just too strong. Well, I wanted to have a bourbon that was smooth enough to drink but still had those great flavors like our 101 does, and that comes through age. And so my 81's 6 to 8 years old, and it's doing exactly what I wanted. It's a very mixable bourbon for the bartenders. The flavors come through because a lot of them, the flavors go away when they mix it, and plus it's smooth enough for that age group to drink it on the rocks or neat or however they like to do it. So the 81's done exactly what I wanted it to do, was reach that younger generation. Probably in drinks, I mean, I've tasted a lot of great foods that use bourbons, but you know, I've seen so many different drinks, and the thing I love about it is, you know, my generation, I was sort of the exception to the rule, but my generation of young people, when we were young, we didn't do anything our parents did. And now you see all the young mixologists going back and making the Manhattans and the old fashioned. So just to see, when I grew up, the bartenders, they put ice or Coke in a glass. Nowadays you see the bartenders making their own bitters, their own flavors and stuff. So it's really neat to see them crafting like we do. Wild Turkey were a car, what would it be? More like a Range Rover type vehicle, something that goes everywhere but is good and dependable and true. Yeah, that is a pretty good question right there. The big keynotes for a Wild Turkey is we use a little more rye than most people. Originally, bourbon was made by the Reverend Elijah Craig, and you use corn, rye, and barley malt. Now, the government regulation only states it has to be a whole kernel grain, so there are bourbons that doesn't use any rye, they use wheat. But at Wild Turkey, we like that spicy note that the rye gives you, so we use a little more rye than most anybody out there. The other thing is we distill at low proofs. Legally, you can bring bourbon whiskey off at 160 proof, but it's at 160 proof is like ordering that great piece of steak at well done. You're cooking the flavor out. So we distill at low proofs. We barrel at low proofs. If you look at our barrel proof rare breed, it's been between 108 and 112. We barreled at 107 for years, which is very expensive to do because the barrel is the most expensive part. So that's the big thing. We don't get to add much water at the end like most people. Most people drive off at 160, bottle it at 80 after 4 or 5 years. So they double their output with water. Well, right now in the Midwest and the Northwest is a good growing market for everybody in our industry, but overseas, you look at India, you look at Czech, some of the countries that are just now developing and opening up where you can get into them. China's somewhere that we're all looking to get into, but it's a little different over there because 95% of the products sold over there are made in China. So it's a little tough getting in the door, but that's definitely a market that if you ever get in, there's so many people. And you get in there, you'll do really good. So a lot of it is on the export end, and with Campari being our owner now, they've got a lot of inroads in a lot of the foreign countries. And we're getting into a lot of them with the 81 and the American Honey. I've got a Russell's Reserve single barrel coming out. It's going to be 110 proof, non-chill filtered. We never chill filtered our product when we had the 101 because you didn't need to, because we don't add a lot of water where we put it in the barrel at such a low proof. So I've came out with a single barrel, and it's a big, bold, great tasting bourbon. I'm looking at a few other things, and I'm targeting more of that 21 to 35-year-old male and female. So, you know, I might come out with something. It probably won't be really what you'd call a flavored bourbon, but it'll be something that'll be more in line with what ladies and the younger generation are drinking. And of course, right now, ryes. I mean, I'm working as hard as I can to catch up with ryes because they've got so hot. But for us in our industry, we make it today, barrel it tomorrow, and then I don't sell it for 6 years. So it takes me a while to catch up. So there'll be some special stuff around the ryes coming out too.